Welcome back to another episode of Spiritual Teachers Podcast. With me today is Atma Santok. Atma is a Kundalini yogi, a DJ, and an enjoyer of the ever unfolding mystery. So it's an honor to have you on today, brother. Welcome on.
You're honored to be here, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. We got a really beautiful array of topics today. We're going to talk about Atma's awakening journey, the benefits of Kundalini Yoga. We're going to talk about warrior and saint mentality, and maintaining harmony and homeostasis in the modern world through the technology of Kundalini Yoga. So we got a lot of beautiful topics today. I'd love to invite you, Atma, to share kind of how your awakening journey started for you.
Well, all those topics sound extremely engaging and exciting, and I trust that our friends listening will gain something out of it.
For sure.
The awakening journey. Well, yeah, for me, I always wanted to feel more. I realize that more now. Um, at the time, the diagnosis was like, oh, I was convinced that I actually wanted to feel less, and that's why I was taking the drugs and doing the things and disassociating like I was. And the way that modern people who study the condition of the human kind of box it in is that, like, oh, you're doing things to kind of take down your hyperactive experience, or your divergent experience of being in a complex and sophisticated vehicle. And nobody's unique and nobody's more sophisticated or more complex. It's just some of us arrive here from incarnationally, as somebody who has a sense of something beyond the ordinary and beyond the mundane.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Maybe we've reincarnated many times, and through reincarnation, we've allowed a lightness to prevail. We've allowed density to release back into the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I get a sense that I've sat in a cave for at least a lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
letting density go until I could incarnate here, very much in Chicago. So it's very much earth, heavy earth element
Right.
in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, I'm speaking to you all from the island of Majorca in Spain. So I'm very much, it's a much more etheric and watery elemental composition here. So just as a note. So I used drugs, I now know, because I wanted to obviously transcend the ordinary and the mundane. And school I was going to when I was young was like, you join sports. And if you didn't join sports and you weren't good at competitive sports, then you were like, a dork, and you were bullied. And there was a very particular uh, expectation, and no fault to my parents. They did their best. I was raised very safe, comfortably, and it was a very safe childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe too safe, and and that probably, and I want to say, I don't regret anything. I wouldn't recommend people take the path that I took, because it began very dense, and doing, you name the drug, and I've experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say that the awakening journey started the moment that I started to look outside of the ordinary and the mundane of what I was given and
Mm-hmm.
presented to in my childhood. Um, was the question, when did the awakening journey start? Was that like part A of the question?
Well, it can just be how whatever you want to share about it, like how it evolved
Mhm.
and how it got you to where you are now, you know?
Oh man, it's no secret that taking drugs expands your consciousness. Mm. But what it also does is it overstretches the neurons in the brain, and it creates an unnatural environment for the cells to actually come back. And so that's kind of the only issue. And now there's kriyas that I practice for years and there's according to the lineage that I practice, there's only a few particular meditations and kriyas that actually re bring back to the pre kind of like overstretch. It's like a rubber band that you've almost stretched to breaking point,
Hmm.
probably broken some of the rubber bands in there for sure.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
but once you stretch that thing again and again and again and again and again and again, and then it's going to be like, you're ended up with this like stretched rubber band thing. So there's a few ways to get, so there's nothing wrong uh, with substances, entheogens, etc., for expanding the consciousness. It's just I have to integrate that energy, and so it's just like integration isn't just sitting in a circle talking about what we experienced,
Hmm.
uh, and things like this. I actually have to do practices that work with the neurology of the brain, breathwork pranayama practices, mantra practices, mudra practices, kriya yoga practices that actually integrate that energy back into the body, which means I'm creating a homeostasis. I'm creating a stasis,
Hmm.
from right. So I stretch, and then with the technique, I create I come back to the harmony. So I'm bouncing around a little bit. I'm going to continue with the awakening journey, but I want to connect the dots between my practice, which is Kundalini Yoga, sadhana daily, and anything else that you could do to expand the consciousness and experience the fantastic and the sublime and the ecstatic and the blissful in the mundane. Um,
Right.
the wind blow. I mean, I'm walking around most of the time, and I'm just like, the wind blows one way across my face, and I'm like crying. I'm so happy, and it's not a disassociative. We've all, maybe, I don't mean, maybe not we all, but I feel like everybody I knew growing up had those, experiences when you were at the club and on tons of ecstasy, and you started crying. You're like, I love you. You're my best friend. With your friends you were with, you were just like so in love.
Hmm.
But that experience was fleeting and disassociative, because then you wake up the next morning and you feel like shit. You're
Right.
like, I'm not in love anymore. like, like, God damn it. Let's
The
try again.
dopamine's gone.
Right. So so what I want to really emphasize is that our body contains all these chemicals that we're activating when we take any sort of substance, and there's more than enough of it to keep us high every day for at least the rest of this incarnation and many, many more incarnations to come. Which, there's a thing called a pranic reserve, and every day you do your practice, every day, sadhana, japa, mantra, everything. And every day you build this capacity. And what happens is, so what's happening on the planet now is that there's a great pressure. It's a great pressure. People are going insane. People are just like, everybody's got a different idea of what to do to be happy, healthy, and holy. And it's just, there's a pressure. And the pressure is either going to make you explode or it's going to turn you into a diamond.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to it. It's either going to break you or it's going to make you. And it's not unlike always, but now it's just think at how fast information is moving. I can know, and the master of Kundalini Yoga, he predicted this in the 80s. Many recounts of him saying, one day you're gonna have all the information at the tips of your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
We have that now, and it's a great pressure to know so much and to be so stupid also at the same time. I know more than ever, and I feel smaller and more ignorant than ever, which is it can be that pressure can break you or make you.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, stretching the rubber band, right?
Right.
And how do you integrate that? The information that we're experiencing, the pressure that we're experiencing, doing the same exact thing. So what are we doing? Well, we're either, taking drugs and drinking and disassociating to like relieve the pressure a little bit, or we're using the pressure to create a very, very focused and locked in environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's wiggle room. There's definitely I personally am committed to exploring and experiencing life by in the spirit of complete abstinence from anything besides my own breath and sound and body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's the best way. I'm saying that's what I'm after, experimenting with the other kind of end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
This is where my quote awakening journey has come to now. So at some point, I found myself very depleted. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was I really, really went for it with the drugs and the partying and that. I did a good college try. You know,
Uh-huh.
um,
Where'd you go
you
to
know.
college?
Oh well, no, I did. I did a couple of actually vocational. I went to a music school in Minneapolis called the Institute of Production and Recording. And then I was studying engineering for like a little less than a year. And then I met my teacher who's an Ableton teacher. Are you familiar with Ableton?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I'm not super familiar with it.
It's a very widely used digital audio
Oh yeah, yeah,
workstation
yeah. Yeah, I know
for
Ableton.
making
Yeah,
for
yeah,
making beats and DJing and do all that.
yeah, yeah.
So I met this guy. This is like, Zen in the art of motorcycle riding or whatever. I love, there's like all these like Buddhist and Tibetan stories of like, the guru could be the gas station attendant
Mm-hmm.
who pumps your gas and he could look at you in a certain way and you get the darshan. It
And
could be,
darshan, for those that don't know, is like a download or a telepathic message, right?
yeah, there's this darshan, a lot of it has to do with
Mm-hmm.
the gaze of the master, the darshan. It's also you go to one of these guru guys. He puts his hand on your head and like that, whole thing. Or you go to the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama, though, I haven't gone and visit him yet. But I think he looks at you. He looks in your eye, and he has the healing gaze. You get the
Mm-hmm.
darshan. The darshan can come in many ways. It could come from touch. You can develop, and there's many practices where you can develop, a lot of ancient art, iconography. You see there's like some sort of mudra with the hand, or there's the khamsa, the hand of God, is the protective, the evil eye. There's a lot of like healing hand symbology that we see when we look around the scripture. But so the Martin Luther King, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the best damn street sweeper.
Right.
Um, but my music teacher, he was, yeah, really, I mean, yeah, brilliant guy in his own right. And connected, he was, but he's a genius with this particular software. He was actually the first certified Ableton instructors in America. So I
Cool.
happened upon him, and he taught me the software, and he was throwing raves in this basement space in Minneapolis.
Nice.
And so, anyways, I ended up, kind of getting in with that. I kind of proved to him that I was like sincere.
Right. Right.
And so he was like, "Yeah, we're having this." Actually, the first thing was like, we're taking a bus. We're renting a bus. There's this techno festival in Detroit every year. It used to be called the Detroit Electronic Music Festival. Now they call it Movement.
Hmm.
And it's a little bit more corporatized now. But at some point, he was like, "Well, a bunch of us are getting we're renting a bus. We're going from Minneapolis to Detroit to go to this techno festival. Come with, whatever." So I did. It was great. We came back, and then I started, hanging out with this whole group of people and DJing and making music. And it was a really, really like creative and beautiful period of time. Of course, I was like really partying hard and depleting myself quite a bit, but this was definitely a big step in the direction of me being able to find oneness and bliss and the creative essence of myself, beyond the fleeting of the fleeting dissociative tendencies of being really sensitive and whatever, neurodivergent, autistic, whatever you want to call it. They're throwing around all these diagnoses for us, like really sensitive souls, and souls that have moved a lot of density through who knows what kind of like martyrdom. I happen to feel that I'm drawn to the Kundalini and the Sikh path, because the Sikh religion is a martyrdom. All of the Sikh gurus, they became gurus because they were able to sacrifice their life for the betterment of humanity. And so that's one big reason why I'm really drawn to the Kundalini path. But so the music, my teacher, and so that was kind of a whole really beautiful period of time. And then eventually, I met a girl, and she was practicing yoga, or a yoga teacher, I can't remember. My my life is really it's really a story of just a lot of grace.
Mm.
Just there's just a lot of grace that's been infused in my life, and I'm really grateful. Even like the darkest moments. I mean, like my mother. The yogis say there's no greater power than the prayer of the mother in the
Mm.
universe.
Yeah.
No greater power than the prayer of the mother. Period. They say even God himself bows down to the
Mm.
prayer of the mother. So it's just through nothing but grace, was I able to find myself like really surrendering at some point. I met the girl. I got like a juice machine, started making juice,
Hmm.
started practicing yoga asanas, started like getting really, I started like practicing like 3-4 hours a day, like hatha yoga postures.
Hmm.
This was like probably 15 years ago now, 37, 27. Yeah, 15 years ago now.
Hmm.
And we were still partying, so that relationship, we ended up buying a house together, and had a
No
big
big,
break.
no big deal.
Yeah, we did. Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the Aquarian age, things move fast. So like we find out, like, the quicker you could just like put your fear aside and like surrender to what's in front of you and give the self completely to the thing, then you'll just find out more quickly if it's like how many I know so many of my friends whose like parents were together for way too long and they were just like
Mhm.
miserable their whole lives.
Yeah.
So and we're finding things out quicker now, which is nice. And it's also like at some point you just have to like commit and be like, okay, I'm in it to win it, no matter what. It's
Right.
gonna get hard because life happens and we're human and we ebb and we flow. But we have tools. We have tools. So again, I'm gonna bring it back to the importance of if people listening get one thing out of this talk, I want them to the thing that I'm endorsing the most as a person who of happiness prevails in life of whose life happiness prevails in
Hmm.
um it's only because my daily practice, and because the daily practice, it turns any adversary into a friend. Everybody
Hmm.
becomes a friend.
Hmm.
And I think there's probably some like many ecstatic poets writing about the friend, but the friend is everywhere. There is nobody, there's no stranger, there's no enemy. And in this and when I say stranger or enemy, it's somebody sitting across from me, but it's only through the filter of my own mind. It's only
Right.
through everything is through the filter of my own mind. If I look at you and I feel a threat, it's because there's something that my mind is remembering of a threat from some time through the journey of the soul inside of this. So, or my mind inside remembering something that my soul has, maybe like, karma, right? There's
Hmm.
karmic residue. So like, and so recognizing that fear, inferiority, superiority, any sort of like imposter syndrome, all these like ego trips,
Yeah.
these these are all things that I have the tools to deal with, and I could turn them all into my friend. And when everybody's my friend, when I say everybody, I mean my thoughts. I also mean you. I also mean Donald Trump. I also mean whoever. Once everybody's a friend, once I befriend it all, and that's a really powerful place to be.
Yeah.
And a friend, it doesn't mean I'm just like gonna be codependent and let you do whatever. Like an actual friend is it's a communication.
Yeah.
Friendship is a communication. So I need to have a healthy relationship with my mind and a healthy communication with my mind. How do I
Absolutely.
do that? How do I do that? Well, the yogis have been practicing, japa mantra. You go, you get a mantra. That's what happens when you're, in these more yogically inclined places of the world. You wait for a while. We're lucky now. We have all the mantras. It's
Yeah.
like we have them all, which again is like it's a pressure. It's like we have all the mantras, we have all the
Right.
practices, we have all the biohacks, we have all the technologies, we have all the everything, we have everything to be happy. And
Yeah.
we're still going to the bar and fucking drinking scotch on the rock.
Some people. Right. Yeah.
I like to go out sometimes. Actually, this past weekend, I every once in a while, when the music is going to be good, I'll go and I'll stay up all night and go to the club and do the thing. Again, I'm I abstain from anything. Um, I mean, you go into these environments and there's like lights and the music, and it's just like, how could you need anything more?
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, it's yeah, I like to envision a future where we're all helping each other to like get high, just like, hey, try this breath. You know,
Right. Try this breath work. That's what we do in
that's
our
like,
med circle. We got a new breath work for you guys this week.
yeah, try this out. It's like,
Yeah.
and do it, and like do it. It's a tool. So yeah, I just want to I want to encourage, and if anybody out there wants to like hit me up and get like a short, we're gonna try something together at some point.
Let's do it now.
Should we?
Yeah, let's do it now.
Like,
It's in the field.
okay, let's do it. Okay, so come, it's 3 minutes.
Okay.
3 minutes. Okay. And what you're gonna do is You're gonna during the meditation, have you Fists of Anger? You know this one?
Yeah.
I think it's a good one.
Hmm.
So let's do 3 minutes fists of anger. And what I want you to do during this is think of things that make you mad. Think of things that make you anxious. Think of things that make you want to just like scream and like outburst and disassociate. Think of those things. Okay, while we do the meditation. I also want you to, while you're bringing up these things that are making you neurotic and chaotic and emotional and commotional, I also want to remember to breathe, mentally repeat the mantra sa, ta, na, ma, na, ma. So it's going to be a mouth breath. So inhale sa, exhale ta, inhale na, exhale ma, sa, ta, na, ma. Like
And
that.
for those that don't know, what does that mean?
Satanama is a complete cycle. I'll just go on a little bit more of a tangent. So Kundalini Yoga uses a lot of seed mantras. Also, the fancy word for it is bij mantra. And there's this part in Sukhmani Sahib. It's a very long bani, one of the Sikh banis that you could read if you want. It takes like an hour and a half. I like doing it every once in a while. Sukhmani Sahib. But there's a part in there that goes Bij Mantar Sarb Kogyan, Bij Mantar Sarb, totality. Bij Mantra, the seed sound. So there's the totality is contained inside of the seed.
Mm.
So chanting the seed sound, it's the sound of the beginning. It's also the sound of the end.
Hmm.
It's also the sound of the middle. So the Sat Nam, it's the beginning, it's the middle, and it's the end. Even I'm continuing to say Sat Nam, Sat Nam. What's happening? The tongue is touching the palate. The air is moving in a particular way. The brain is secreting chemicals while the tongue moves and the vibration is vibrating. And even though it's one sound being the japa repeating, and forever the yogis Ram, 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 Satnam, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. There's longer ones too, but it's like most of it's like Ram, 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 Ram Das, Ram, 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 or Guru, Guru, Wahi, Guru, Guru. These seed sounds, well, they've been perpetuated, first of all, by many, many yogis chanting them again and again and again. So there's an energy of behind it, of the golden.
Supercharged.
And as we participate in it, we're adding to that web, we're
Hmm.
adding to that weave, we're adding to that tapestry, and we're also receiving from it all the meditative experience inside of that web, inside of that. It's in permaculture. There's the under the soil. I grew a bunch of fruit trees, and you build a fungal layer. So there's a fungal network, and this network connects the entire planet. One little tiny little strand of mycorrhizal fungus is connected to connects the entire planet, and it's electricity. And what's electricity? Up, down, cycles per second, alternating current, sinusoidal wave. Or electricity. So when I vibrate a harmonic sound, it brings my whole experience of life into harmony. What's the monkey mind? It's disharmonic. It's like, oh shit, 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 shit. I'm not gonna get this. I'm not gonna get that. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. My mom, my dad, my blah 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 is disharmonic.
Hmm.
It's not. It's nuts. So it consolidates the thought forms.
Hmm.
That's what the mantra does. Consolidates, depolarizes. A thought has a polarity. Mantra doesn't.
Hmm.
Mantra alchemizes polarity into a point, into bindu, a point. And then the point there's a yantra, there's a shape, and then there's a tantra direction.
Mm.
And the mantra cuts diagonally. So it's a diagonal, the mantra is a diagonal technology to help you to move more fluidly through life
Hmm.
instead of trying to, squares or like there isn't, a triangle. I mean, think of those like really complex shapes that you see, 3D shapes. It's the flower of life. It's just a bunch of triangles that's creating a geometry, and it's creating a self-contained energy, and then that could be used any way that you want. So this is technology. Long answer to your question, what does satanama mean? But it basically means everything and nothing all at once. So
And each one is like life, birth, life, death, rebirth, right? Is like the exact definition.
I've been practicing Kundalini Yoga for 15 years now, and I still can't remember what satanama translates to. This is how like I'm Pisces North Node. Cancer is most of my chart in Western. So I'm very like Virgo South Node. So I'm very like I'm not super left brain. So a lot of, and it might be amiss to me to not but yeah, Satanama is it's I think you said it correctly.
Hmm.
But we us humans really like to know what things mean,
Right,
it's like,
right,
wait, this means that.
right,
And meaning making is beautiful, and poetry is beautiful, and math is beautiful, and yoga is a science. And it's Ayurveda, science of life. It's the flower of life, and it keeps blooming and unfurling. So the practice of the mantra, more than what the translation is, and the experience of practicing the mantra is what it means.
exactly.
Um, so it's nameless, it's formless, it's desireless, it's timeless, it's spaceless, it's all these things, and helps the practitioner to rise above all these structures, societal, and otherwise, that have to do with time, space, names, outfits,
Right.
occupations, all these things. The mantra is beyond it all, because it's it's what all is made of, but it's also beyond all. It's what matter is. It's the atomic structure of matter, and it's also beyond it.
For sure.
So, and the only way to know what I'm talking about is to experience it.
That's right. Okay,
That's
so fist of anger, what are we doing for the mudra?
okay. The thumb is presses the mound of the pinky, and then you squeeze the thumb.
Okay,
Okay.
so at the base of the pinky, there's a little mound. You put your thumb on that, and then you squeeze all four fingers on top of that like a fist.
That's right.
For those that aren't watching, that are just listening, right?
Okay, so if you're listening, you touch, and it's kind of, you might have to use your other hand to bring the thumb to touch the mound. It's called the mound, the mercury mound, the mound of the pinky. It's right below there's like a fleshy part when the finger ends,
Like
right
where
below.
your calloused are.
Exactly. Yeah. And then so you put both thumbs there, and then the rest of the four fingers they lock down over the thumb, and you squeeze the thumb. And it's kind of like a hard squeeze. It's like you're like,
Hmm.
And we're going to use a O mouth, a rapid breath through the mouth. And the mouth is going to be in a shape of an O,
Hmm.
and it's going to sound like this. And look, the more effort you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it.
Hmm.
Right? The cheeks are going to be moving. And also, it's the effort also means remembering to keep a equal inhalation and exhalation, and not like you're not jerking around. It's like, be chill, be cool. It's like you don't have to like jerk yourself around. But there's 2 points that I always mention when I teach. One, there's an effort, and there's also a relaxation simultaneously. So in this meditation, it's quite dynamic. The arms are moving, the breath is moving powerfully, but there's also a relaxed attitude.
Hmm.
So I want you to find the at where the effort. I'm gonna be moving the arms. I'm gonna be moving the breath. I'm gonna be moving the mind. Sa, ta, na, ma. And then there's also I'm gonna be there's a relaxed attitude as well that comes from kind of inside. I can't really it's really unexplainable.
It's
And
like
this
a
is
centering,
actually
right? Like feeling centered.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. And this is actually where your power comes from, not from like "Ugh,"
Hmm.
but like find the power from your and like if I told you, okay, let's do this for an hour, you would be able to because you're not overexerting yourself. You're exerting yourself perfectly. And
Hmm.
that's what Kriya is. You know, you go to the gym and you're like, you know, I like to go to the gym sometimes, and but you like, you lift as much weight as you can, and you push it, and you're like one more, and then you're like tired afterwards, and
Right.
you're overexerting yourself.
Hmm.
That's not what yoga is. That's not what yoga and meditation is. It's yoga and meditation is Kriya is I'm perfectly exerting myself.
Mm,
I'm
beautifully said.
perfectly exerting myself. I'm creating a free energy device, a toroidal field of myself.
Hmm.
And so that I'm not losing any energy. I'm giving myself energy. I'm moving around, I'm moving about life. I'm being really powerful. You know, in this example, I'm moving a lot of energy. I'm moving my arms, I'm moving my breath, I'm getting mad, I'm chanting Satanama. But as you will see in a moment, we're going to end the practice after 3 minutes. And you're not going to be like, oh, I just did like 10 reps of 100 kilograms. You know, I
Right.
need a rest now. You're going to be like, wow, I feel like I just, you know, drank a cup of coffee or whatever, you know. So let's try it. Yeah.
Let's try it.
Okay. So the fingers, the squeeze the thumbs, and it's an all mouth breath like that. And I'm making a backstroke motion. You need to clear the top of the head over the top of the head with the breath. Okay, eyes closed, go. It's 3 minutes. And it's
Focus at the third
Satanama.
eye.
Yep, eyes closed, focus up and in at the third eye, and think of things that make you mad. Everything. Everything that makes you mad, neurotic, emotional. Satanama. Don't be shy. Good. Your mom, your dad, your brother, your girlfriend. Don't be shy with it. Breathe powerfully. 90 seconds to go. Halfway there. 1 minute to go. Powerful. Relax the face and the powerful breath. 30 seconds. Go. 10 seconds. Now interlace the hands like this. Breathe in. Stretch them above the head. Hold the breath. Stretch the arms up. The anger's gone. Imagine you're inside of a bright white star, bright white light. Imagine bright white light around you as you hold the breath. Stretch. Keep the arms up. Exhale powerfully. Again, inhale. Stretch the arms up. The hands are facing upwards. Interlace. Stretch. Tighten the body. Tighten the muscles. The spine. Stretch the spine up. Stretch. Exhale powerfully. Last time. Do your best. Now stretch. Bright white light. Bright, bright white light. Stretch. And relax. Relax the arms. And just meditate. Let the breath just regulate. Just notice any sensations, any shifts. How is the mind? Is it quieter, louder? How's your heart? How's your skin? Is there heat? Is there sweat? Just notice. Notice the texture of the breath. The Kundalini Yoga is a yoga of awareness. The more I increase my sensitivity, the more I could be in bliss every moment. It's a grounded bliss, though. It's an integrated bliss. It's a bliss with direction, not a disassociative bliss. A bliss with purpose, bliss with sincerity, with intention, with prayer, with reverence, creativity, clarity. Take a deep breath in and let it go. And open the eyes.
Thank you for that. That was beautiful.
So a lot of, for everybody listening out there, if you practice that and you had a good experience, or you felt a good experience is my anger feels smaller. You know, after about 10 seconds of that meditation, the things that I was angry about gets really small. The things that I'm just like so pissed and having a temper tantrum, and I'm just like 5-year-old, like didn't get his cookies or whatever.
Right.
10 seconds, like made like 3 breaths. I'm just like, I was mad about that. Like, I was mad at my girlfriend. She's so beautiful, you know. Things that just the anger gets small. And the problem is that these emotional states feel big.
Yeah.
The fluctuations feel big, the depression, the bipolar, these fluctuations, especially if you're in a really sensitive vehicle and hasn't had a lot of experience or tools given to strengthen the nervous system and the glandular response. And you're just like, so these fluctuations could really knock you off.
Yeah.
And it feels really big and feels really scary. And it feels like there isn't a way out. But there is, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, I can't meditate because I can't sit because my mind is going crazy. Well, beautiful thing about a lot of tools, the tools of the lineage that I practice, is that it gives you something to do, right? It's the breath, the movement, the mantra, the gaze, and you're focused. There's no not meditating. I'm breathing consciously. I'm moving my body consciously, moving my mind consciously. My eyes, the optic nerve is focused, and I'm contained. There's so yeah, gratitude to these simple and profound practices.
Yeah. So I'm really curious. I Kundalini Yoga has changed my life completely, and I'm also a Kundalini Yoga instructor as well. And uh, for me, Kundalini Yoga showed up in a really unique place and in a really unique way. I kept looking, I kept trying all these different yogas, and I was like, that's not it, that's not it. And then when I found it, I had this profound experience, and I was like, I need to teach this. Like from the first day I tried it, I was like, this is really amazing. What was your experience like finding Kundalini Yoga?
The first class, it was one of those sets where you close your eyes and you dance for like 30 minutes or something.
Mm.
And so that was just like, that was my test. It's like, if you come back after this, you're probably you're probably destined to be on this path. Yeah, I don't, that first class, it wasn't like I didn't leave feeling like, oh, I love that. This is my path now. It was just like I was I was still doing like heavy like Iyengar yoga and Hatha yoga and like spending like 5 hours a day doing postures and asana, and studying all of Iyengar stuff and studying the text and the scripture and getting like really smart like that. But then I just like steadily, went to a few Kundalini classes a week for a while. There was actually quite a bit of Kundalini in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. There's a lot of good art and a lot of good things. Kind of everything, changed in 2020, and the whole planet, of course. And that kind of changed the trajectory for a lot of us in many different ways, subtle and not so subtle. Um, but over time, I just kind of I just went to a few classes a week. I went to India. I did a hatha training. I wasn't like fully Kundalini yet, but I got back from that hatha training, and I found a teacher. He was doing a 40-day challenge. I came across it, and it was a Sat Kriya challenge. And so that was like
Mm.
the first time. This is like, probably 10, 11, 12 something years now ago, something
Mhm.
like that. And this was the first time I did, consecutive days. So there's the next level of me. The emphasis I want to put on this talk is, one, there's tools to feel better. There's innate tools to feel better, to feel more than better, to feel high, to feel blissed out as much as you want. The thing about Kundalini is that, and this is I'm going to debunk this right here and now,
Let's
is
do it.
that you can do as much as you want. I've kind of gone like very like quite enthusiastic about the practice where I'll like several days in a row be like 16 like Kundalini trainings, and it's like you wake up for sadhana and you don't stop until 9 p.m. So
Mhm.
that's 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. straight Kundalini yoga. There's breaks, there's food, there's this. Or it's like white tantra yoga for 3 days straight. And with Kundalini, my experience is that more is more. And it's because it's a technology and there's a built in safety mechanism to it, because you're using the body, you're using the breath, and what are we doing? Exerting the perfect amount of energy, right? If you're feeling like tired, if you're feeling like super like, sometimes you get the tantric flu, sometimes you heal something deep, sometimes you go, sometimes you clear some like ancestral ass trauma, and
Mhm.
and you get the tantric flu, but like that's a different thing.
Mhm.
So what I want to say is that, yes, these are tools that can be used, what is it on the prescriptions, PRN, as needed.
Mhm.
Definitely, like put this fist of anger, if you get, you're feeling like a peak of anger, next time that happens, instead of doing, maybe the tendencies to disassociate, when I'm experiencing anger or fear or anything that makes me feel unsafe, next time sit down and start doing this and see what happens instead.
Yeah.
So that's one offering, one suggestion, one encouraging, highly encouraged to do, is use these tools as tools to down or up regulate. And the next layer of it is, there's no there's really no substitute, and I'm sure you could back me on this, brother, to a steady practice over time. because what happens over time, it's so much happens. So much.
So
You
much.
develop such a beautiful, it's like you could explain some of it. Like I could be like, oh yeah, I practiced Sat Kriya for 31 minutes for 3 years and like fix my digestion and fix my sexual phobia, blah, blah, blah. But like what really happened, you just can't talk about it. It's like the most beautiful relationship that you develop with yourself.
For sure. Have you done 1,000 day Kriya?
Yeah, I was doing, yeah, actually, I did Sat Kriya 31 minutes for 1,000 days.
Amazing.
And I did Sudarshan Shot Kriya 31 minutes. I was doing it for 62 minutes for a while too, for 1,000 days. And now I'm doing Sudarshan again because I don't, when I was living in LA, it was like I needed Sat Kriya, so, to
Yeah.
like get, to like pierce through the shit show of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Um, but now now I'm back to Sudarshan Chakra Kriya 31 minutes.
Amazing. Yeah,
And
I've done there's very few people I know, even in the Kundalini world, that have done 1,000 days. I know I maybe know three people, and I've had two of them on the show, on the podcast. So it takes a really committed person to do a specific kriya every day for 1,000 days, no matter what, right? Like I did it with a broken hand, I did it with
yeah,
104 fever, I did it while
right,
I was traveling. It didn't
right,
matter, right? It was
right,
like
right,
that was my anchor for my life
right.
because everything else was changing in the world, but I had my practice and I had that to come back to, kind of like what you were saying. It's like the sadhana, which is your daily practice, is the anchor
Yeah.
for this reality, because everything else changes, and change is inevitable. But if we're grounded in our practice, then we can just show up so much more fully.
What's that movie? Inception.
Right.
You got to have your thing that reminds you what's real.
Yeah, the little
He
what
had
do you
he, like one. He had a tie. There was like I forget what the thing was.
yeah. Yeah, it was almost
But
like a dreidel that he
yeah,
would
yeah,
spin.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like that. You have to have the thing that is. There's no question that okay, this is me.
Right.
That this is there's a lot of confusion around me, circumstances like you said, like I did fucking Sat Kriya all over the world,
Right.
like, and I did like, right, like fever, like COVID. I would just be like die, like in LA, like the gnarliest, like Los Angeles nasty COVID shit, just like I would like get myself up, I would go to the sand, go to the beach, just get in the sun, and that commitment builds character.
Yeah.
Commitment
Yeah,
builds, there's
and
nothing
yeah,
else.
there's so much to be gained from that. But for people that are just beginning, 40 days is an incredible time to do a kriya, like an incredible amount of time. 40 days, I've felt and experienced profound changes after 40 days. And then if you really love it, you can go to 100 days. If you really, really love it, then you can go for 1,000, and you're noticing the shifts and the changes inside the self. So, yeah, and there's kriyas that you can do for 3 minutes a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like you have to sit down for an hour and a half every day for 1,000 days. I mean, Atma chose to do 31 minutes, but that's on the more extreme, and mine was 20 minutes. Some people, do 3 minutes, 7 minutes. That's still just as powerful.
Yeah. Do this fist of anger 3 minutes a day.
Yeah.
No, this Kriya challenge it was 11 minutes a day for 40 days.
Hmm.
And after that 40 days, I completely stopped any hatha yoga, anything else. And it was Kundalini yoga from there on out.
Okay. So
Like
that
it
was
was
that was kind of the tilting point for you.
yeah. So there's many you could go the beautiful thing about I mean and look, again, we have it all. Inside of Kundalini Yoga, we have it all. I mean, I'm sitting looking, this is an entire, this is that Pranayam book. This is 200 pages of breath patterns.
Hmm.
It's like you know. And so you could go as much or as little. Anything you do will benefit you greatly, because any amount of intention and attention and relationship that I build with my life force gives me life, period.
I love
The,
that.
and just like every time I disassociate, that takes my life. And it's okay. I could always come home, which is the
I,
which is the good news.
yeah, yeah. I recently talked to a friend, and I told her, I said, hey, uh, think about the patterns that you're continuing in your life right now. Are they spiraling your frequency up? Are you entering an upward spiral, or are you entering a downward spiral? And for me, that just like makes sense, right? Like, am I like, if there's an awareness to the choices that I make, right? Am I making a choice in this moment to upward spiral or downward spiral? Because
Yeah.
that's all there is at any given moment, right? Fear or love, when you distill it down, right? And so it can be as simple as that. Like, okay, is this shot of tequila gonna spiral me up or spiral me down? Is this uh, meditation gonna spiral me up, spiral me down? You know what I mean? It's like that question can be asked and used as a gauge, you know?
There isn't really gray area either.
Right.
And so that makes it pretty actually easy to make decisions. If I'm just like, okay, maybe I'm just like, okay, 5% of the time I could fuck off.
Right. Right.
But like the rest of the 90 or whatever, 10%, whatever you want to have your fun, whatever. But the rest of the time, yeah, ask. That's a great question to ask. And it's a very obvious, they're like, there isn't really great. It doesn't take a super smart, intelligent person to know if like the decision I'm making is taking my energy or giving me energy. You
Right.
know, sometimes, sometimes it's like you're dating somebody and you're just like, you're not sure. It's like the sex is really good, but it's just like, but I'm really stressed out because I'm like having to kind of, you know, I'm feeling depleted because I'm like, something doesn't feel authentic. When the sex and the relationship gets involved, that's a whole nother, it's kind of
Yeah,
a whole
there's layers to that.
but but the meditation practice, continued meditation over time, gives my spirit and my soul a louder voice than the voice of the fear and of the karma and of the tendency to want to numb out. So that's the goal, is to just raise the voice of the soul and lower the volume of the doubt, the fear, the uncertainty, the fighting, the emotionality, the disharmonic sounds. I want to lower the volume of, and that's what the yogis have been, why they've been chanting mantra, and why this practice continues to be perpetuated in known and unknown, volumes. The monks in the monasteries, they're just chanting and chanting and chanting and chanting and chanting.
So I have a quick question for you. So during those 40 days of that challenge, right, the South Korea challenge, what what benefits did you experience, and what did you see and shift inside yourself?
I mean, the thing that I noticed the most was that, prior to doing South Korea for 11 minutes a day, I was doing 3 to 4 hours of asana a day. And I was just like, damn, I'm basically feeling just as good doing 11 minutes as
Mm,
I was doing 4 hours. That was like the
right.
most profound thing. Like I would like go to work and actually when I first started this, I was still partying a little bit. I was still like staying out all night. I was still drinking. I was still kind of like farting around a little bit.
Hmm.
So this is twofold. One, and to rewind a little bit to the healing journey question, the yoga began to be a reason to stop partying. And that was like really apparent to me. I was like, I need to not party tonight. I need to not drink tonight. I need to not take drugs tonight because I need to be strong to do my practice in the morning.
Mm,
That started prevailing much more as time went on. But once I started doing the Sat Kriya, not only was I like, and you do some warm-ups, you do some cat cow, you do some, so all in all, it's probably like a 30-minute practice every day.
Mhm.
Um, but I noticed that that 30 minutes was giving me just as much, if not more, than the 4 hours of asana.
Mm.
And on the nights that I would party all night and I was, depleting myself, the anti-hangover effect that the Sat Kriya had was much more profound than anything else that I've ever done. So that
Mm.
was something that was really quite cool too. And then, right, eventually, and then, dude, man, eventually it's like I should work with addicts more, but it's like it's like it's not my brand because what happened was so the Sudarshan Chakra Kriya, you know this one. And there's only a few Kriyas that can bring those overstretched neurons back to their original state.
Mhm.
Darshan Chakra Kriya is one of them. And so Sat Kriya, I started Kundalini and then I got into the Sudarshan, and that basically removed any like memories even of being addicted. It's like a lot of I've been to a lot of AA meetings, I've been to a lot of 12-step meetings, and
Mhm.
it's like you have to remember that you're an addict or that you're an alcoholic. Because if you don't remember, if you forget, it'll sneak back up on you.
Right.
And it's not untrue when you're like basically using the mind to fight against it, to fight against your like demons with the mind. You're not installing a new pattern. You're basically just like being very careful that this like monster doesn't like attack you again and you're like caught with your pants down,
Mhm.
which is like, so I but man, yeah, I should remember more because what this practice has done is it's like it's big, and I think that's what like the neurons, whatever the cellular structure, it contains memories,
Mhm.
right? Good or bad memories. Like this is like traumas, memories from being born, memories from being in the womb, especially from being. That's why these rebirthings are cool, which I teach sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, memories from being in the womb, like the shit that your mom and your dad did when you're in the womb. That wasn't perfect yogi, activities, things like this. And so the transit memories that are traumatic also do the same thing, overstretches you. And that's what trauma is: too much, too soon, right? And that's what you're basically when you're like really, partying or whatever your thing is that like disassociates you and like stretches you thin and creates a afraid and nervous system, this plexus structure. That's that. And so what were we talking about?
Well, I have a question. So you were
Yeah.
talking about the Sudarshan Chakra Kriya and
Right,
how
right, right, right.
powerful it was for the nervous
Yeah,
system.
yeah,
What other Kriyas besides that in your
yeah.
studies, in your practices, what other Kriyas in Kundalini Yoga do that for the nervous system, strengthen and rewire it?
It's basically it's Sudarshan and Kirtan Kriya.
Okay, those are
That's
the
about
two.
it. That's
When
about
I,
I, Have
yeah.
you come across? I think I've come across. I'll have to look into my notes. I think I've come across. I have to check. But what about you?
Uh, I'd say those. So I went into this rabbit hole of like wanting to find the core, right? Like what Yogi Bhajan brought from the Kriyas that have been around for thousands and thousands of years. The Sat Kriya that you mentioned that
Mhm.
you did 1,000 days of is one of those core Kriyas that yogis have been practicing for thousands and thousands of years. The Sudarshan Chakra Kriya, another one of those that yogis have been practicing for thousands of years. The Kirtan Kriya is super powerful for healing. I've found when I did my first 40 days with it, I cried every night. And like
Yeah.
there was like while I'm doing it, right? Like tears just flowing down my face. And I don't know like there's no memory associated with it. It's just my body releasing pain and sadness from whatever, right? And that's the beauty of that Kriya, right? And then, um, those were some of the main ones that I found were like the core of the original Kriyas. You know what I mean? Um, and I think there was maybe a few more, but those are the ones that come to mind right now. And um, just so if listeners are new to Kundalini Yoga, there's over 300 Kriyas, and they're very specific for every almost everything you can think of, from opening your third eye to strengthening your aura to strengthening your lower back and your straightening your spine to um, amplifying your magnetic field. You know what I mean? To bringing abundance. There's just so many of them, and uh, the interesting part is that some people think that Yogi Bhajan made it all up, right? And there is certain kriyas that he didn't make up, that are extremely old, that are way thousands and thousands of years way past before him. So that I went into that rabbit hole for a little while, and really wanted to know the core essence of it, you know. And my one of my teachers always told me, he said, if you ever just want to reset yourself, do Sat Kriya, just three
Yeah.
minutes of it. Another one
Yep.
that I love is Ego Eradicator. I think
Yep.
that one's profound, where you raise your arms above your head, 60 degrees, fingers, the mudras in monkey hands, and then you're pumping your navel and doing breath of fire. That one resets my system every time. I love that one.
Breath of fire. I mean, dude, I mean, look, Yogi Bhajan was so generous, and he knew he's a master because he knows, like, first of all, we like to be entertained. So give them. There's thousands of med. I'm actually one of the few people I know who are in the archives who writes up Kriyas and meditations, guided meditations that haven't been written up yet. So I have a collection of many meditation series that I've actually written up myself from the archives, because
Oh,
there's just
cool.
there's I would say I couldn't give you an accurate percentage, but the amount that have been written up and published are like very small compared to what he taught, which is really impressive. You know, if he made it up or not, I'll tell you, I haven't practiced a single taught by Yogi Bhajan session that I haven't walked away feeling more connected to myself, more magnetic, more radiant, um, more energized, just feeling generally better. Like
Yeah.
not, it's just like I have not ever regretted. Now, I've regretted going to certain teachers' classes who have taught the shit wrong. That,
Right,
that
right.
that's that.
That's
Those are
a
the
whole
only
nother thing.
in the practice. That's the only regret. But like I'll tell you, it's hard to wake up. It's hard to wake up at 3:30 for sadhana. It really sucks. You really hate it. You really don't want to do it. But I've never regretted it. I've
How
never
long have you
left.
been doing that?
Um, this has been this has only been about 5 years now.
Okay. But you've been doing it every day.
It's I go through phases. It's like I'll go through periods of time. Like I'll like, we always do every year we do 40 days leading up to summer solstice of 2.5 hours of long echo cars,
Oh,
you know.
beautiful.
And so we do that. And then, I'll go through periods of time where it's like every day, like 40 days before this, or there's like a moon, or there's like a planetary thing. But usually it's like right now that we're just like, we are leading up to solstice now. And I have been doing, but it's like, I'm at least like, it's like 4 days a week that I wake up. But
Nice.
sometimes now that we're going up to solstice, I'll probably pretty soon here start waking up every day.
And for
But
those that yeah, for
yeah,
those
go
that
ahead.
don't know, what's the benefit of waking up at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning?
Well, the subconscious mind is the most active during that time, so you get the best bang for your buck. The whole objective is to let the thoughts in the mind that are destructive to leave,
Hmm.
and to separate to emancipate myself from the self-destructive patterns and habits that all come from a thought. Everything that's destructive in my life comes from repetitive thoughts that continue to haunt me because I'm not dealing with them,
Right.
and traumas and things like this. So the subconscious mind is the most active during, it's called the Amrit Vela, the nectar hour. And also the third eye is the most active too, because there's a particular angle of the sun from 3 to 7 ish. This time of year is nice because the sun doesn't rise, at least here, until like freaking 8 o'clock. So you could cheat a little bit this time of year, but there's also a Amrit, it's called something else in the evening, 3 to 7 ish. In the
Okay.
evening, it has a similar angle of the sun on the similar effect to the glandular and nervous system. So that's all. It's like the most irritating time of the day, and
Mm.
it's the most subconsciously active time of the day. So it's like it's really hard to wake up. Even like, man, it's like I've been doing it for a while, and I'll go to bed and like I'll feel so great, after sadhana all day. It's like the best day ever. I feel so high and good and like, unfuckwithable, excuse my French. And I'll go to bed and be like, cool, I'm so excited to wake up again in the morning. And without fail, man, the alarm goes off at 3:30. I'm like, and the mind starts going. It starts trying to convince you to like go back to sleep. Don't wake up. You're fine today. Oh, it's cold outside. It was nobody's gonna come. It's like every freaking excuse in the book, you know.
Right. Right. Right.
then, and then I'll tell you, man, I get out of the house, I come here to Rama, I sit down, I start chanting Japji, and right away I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I came. Like immediately, as soon as I start, I'm like, good job.
And
And that's the thing too. It's yeah, go ahead.
for those that don't know what the Japji is, can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, Japji. So the Sikh religion started with there's 10 incarnations of one guru. And this guru's name is Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak. Nanak means no, has been translated as no negativity. No negativity. Nanak. And the story of Guru Nanak's enlightenment is that, well, he's kind of known as a singing saint because he would travel around singing Gurbani and lifting people up with the Gurbani and the spirit of the Guru and chanting the name.
Mhm.
And he was a very, very kind and like jovial being. But the story of his enlightenment is that he disappeared into, I forget the name of the river. I need to get my my history right. But he disappeared underwater for 3 days, and then everybody was like wondering if he was dead or whatever. And then he was underwater 3 days, and he came out chanting Japji. And Japji, it's 39 stanzas, all basically speaking on the nature of the mind, and the nature of the human experience, and the nature of the it balances all the chakras when you chant the whole thing, and it goes in the nadis, the chakras, and it equalizes the hemispheres of the brain. It's a very, very complete set of mantras that was channelized through, and of course it carries heavily on the water element, and it's very healing, and it's very cleansing, it's very purifying. And the whole and it's, read it sometime. We could share a link to a couple of good recordings, but
For sure. Yeah, for sure. We can
reading
drop
it,
those in the description.
one effect of the mantra and of Japji in particular is the mantra. So there's a seed sound, but then there's also like longer form mantras. And the longer form mantras, it's basically, this is what they say. The beginning is of the entire 1450 whatever pages of the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib is the Mool mantra, the root mantra. And it starts with Ek Onkar, creator, creation is one. Ek one, Onkar, creator, creation, creating itself is one. It's one. Satanam, truth is its name. Basically, it's without form, revengeless, fearless, self-illumined, self-effulgent. And then it comes to where it says jop. And jop is the one command in the entire scripture. And jop is what? Repeat. Jop.
Mm,
Odds. Repeat what? Ad such, jugad such, habi such, nanako be such. True in the beginning, true throughout the ages, true now, forever it should be true. And what is true? Well, it's the satnam, it's the beach sound that continues to blossom through the seeds. You plant the seed, the fruit is contained inside of the seed, which means you plant the seed, it grows the tree, it grows the leaf, it grows the fruit drops the seed, and then the cycle of life continues. And but my point of this is that Ekonkar Satnam, the Mool mantra explains the entire Japji. Well, Satnam explains the entire 1,500 whatever pages. Echoing the Mool mantra, Satnam explains the Mool mantra. The Mool mantra kind of summarizes the Japji. And then it kind of like goes, so you could kind of, it like gets granular basically. Satnam is all you need to know.
right, right.
It's all you need to know. But and if you want to like, which you do because it's fun and it's ecstatic and it's far out and it's like blissed out, you get into you get granular with it and you chant the Japji, and then you're walking around your life and you remember a poti of Japji for some reason. I
Hmm.
don't know why I start chanting Japji when I'm like at a particular intersection. I don't know why I chant the 13th poti of Japji or the 33rd poti of Japji while I'm getting in the water this particular beach. I don't know why, but I trust it.
Hmm.
Trust that it's doing something to me deeply, that it's helping me to process some deep trauma. It's helping me to alchemize some sort of fear or doubt or uncertainty into something that's like self authoritative, and self loving and wise and empowered. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so the Japji is the first part of the Aquarian sadhana, right? And the Aquarian sadhana is a 2.5 hour practice that can be done at that Amrit Vela at that 3:30, 4:30 a.m. mark. And what happens? What comes after the Japji?
job is about 15-20 minutes, depend on how fast you want to do it. And then it's about an hour of yoga, and then it's about an hour of, well, it's exactly, well, it's how many mantras in it is it? It's
I think it's
Langya
six,
Konkar,
right?
Langya Konkar, Vayanti, Mool Mantra, Satsirikal, Rake Rakanahar, Waguru Wajio, Guru Ramdas, 7.
Okay.
Six if you're not counting the morning call. So
Right. Okay.
but you're chanting 6 mantras, 7 mantras, one the long Ekonkar, and then one is, which we all love the most, is you're in this hero posture, Virasana, when you're sitting on the left heel and then your right foot on the floor, your hands like this, and you're looking tip of the nose. This one just so happens to be 22 minutes long. Sorry. He made the one that's the sitting on the heel, the eyes open, the longest one, but anyways, it's sadhana it's nothing but a self victory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you're starting your day already like victorious. You've already accomplished something huge, and it's only 6 a.m. by the time you're done. You
Yeah,
know?
and then if you're really ambitious, you get in the cold shower first. You wake up your capillaries. You rub you get really nice and feeling really nice and sparkly. And then you start the practice. You do some exercise. You do some chanting, and then yeah, you feel super awesome.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
There's never been a time when I've done the Aquarian sadhana that I didn't feel ready for the day in on a different type of level than anything else I've ever done. I've done all kinds of practices in the mornings, from listening to various Hindi mantras to working with Hape to just sitting in meditation. The Aquarian sadhana just takes it to a whole nother level. And if you're doing it with a group of people, it's even more powerful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Especially if you go to these like big Kundalini gatherings where there's like hundreds of people.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just there's nothing like it.
for sure. For
There's
sure.
nothing like it.
For
There's nothing
sure.
like it.
Well, I wanted to ask you, one of our topics was um, the warrior versus saint mentality. Can you speak into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, what's that quote? I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, you
Right.
know. So I think again the a common thread between there's 10 gurus and they all have different names, but they're also known as there's 10 Nanaks. So I couldn't agree. I know I can name both of them, most of them, but it doesn't matter. But each has a story of like profound sacrifice, and um, this warriorship, not for the sake of, when we think of war, in like the mainstream corporate sense of the word, it's like we're like fighting against somebody for something like land or oil or some sort of commodity, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
some sort of stupid ego, silly ego trip,
Mm-hmm.
but the warrior saint is I'm fighting for justice. And it's not like it's there's a these days the word kind of justice is being, translated in many creative ways, and a whole nother, there's many false victims. I'm sorry to break it to you, but I'm not telling your viewers anything new, but there's a lot of false victims, and it's to no fault to anybody. We've been programmed to feel like we're born to sin, and that we're broken, and that we're not, and I'm not empowered. And I need there to be some sort of external shift in order for me to find safety, in order for me to find harmony and balance and health and wealth and everything. Um, but the warrior saint, there's a lot of stories of how there were these a lot of uh, Muslim uh, it was Muslim armies that would come in and they would try to get everybody to change, their religion essentially, and be Muslim. They were trying to there's a lot of ethnic cleansing that was being attempted. This is it's always, I don't know why this is such a like a it's such a brutal human thing that like my religion is right and I need to like force it upon you. It's like such a human, such a toxic human thing that is quite a mystery to me. But there's many stories of not just the Sikh gurus, but a lot of Sikh like babas and sadhus um, and saints who would basically they would cut off their heads to save their their people from getting ethnically cleansed.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the type of sacrifice. And these days, it's not like I'm not gonna like cut my head off per se, but um, give the head give the head to the heart. You know,
Right. Like
this is
bow,
this is
bow in
this is
reverence.
this is the metaphor. Is that I lower my head. I give my ego, right? Because there's a war going on inside,
Mm-hmm.
and consciously or subconsciously, I'm trying to. I mean, look at the social media climate. Everybody's trying to convince everybody that my idea is the best.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to like this. Oh, I did this research, and you have to eat meat. No, you have to eat vegetables. No, you have to eat fruit. No, you have to not eat at all. No, you have to. It's like, you know, that doesn't help anybody. You know, so the sacrifice today in the age of information is, I sacrifice what I think I know, so I could become an empty vessel, and I could be filled with the love of God. And when I'm filled with the love of God, and then I could pour over that love of God so that everybody around me could receive that grace, and that everybody around me I could be a lighthouse. and that those around me could be encouraged to allow their vessel to be, to feel safe enough to open themselves up to the light of God to enter in. I mean, this isn't like woo woo. This is like when we meditate, it opens the 10th gate, the Dasam Duar, the 10th gate opens and the light of the spirit enters and it animates us. And then it fills us and fulfills us and it radiates life and light to all beings.
For sure.
So
For
that's
sure.
what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, you do have to, it's a lot of spiritual people, speaking their truth, and there's speak the truth, but like mostly the truth is spoken without words,
Mm,
you know.
yeah. And at the end of the day, it's how we treat people that
Yeah,
really
yeah,
matters, right?
it's
Like
all.
you can do all the practices, but if you're getting up off the mat and going and losing it, what's the point? Right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and look, man, I'll have a great strong sadhana. I'll walk out the door. Some dude, there's this phenomenon in Europe. People really like to take up the whole sidewalk. It's just like a really like tranquilo. Everyone's like siesta. It's like very relaxed here. It's like a culture shock if you come here from like, any city in America.
uh-huh.
So it's like people really like to, they like to walk in the middle of the sidewalk and walk really slow and take up a lot of space. And their dog is here. And it's just like, it's cool. I love it. It's awesome. But it's like, sometimes I'm just like, I'm in a hurry. I'll have the best sadhana, I'll be feeling great. I'll be feeling empowered, be feeling strong, and some like little old lady will be walking too slow on the sidewalk and the war starts.
Mhm. That's when it's good to go take a dip in the sea, right?
Yes, yes, yes. No, there's always an opportunity to have compassion for yourself and to be patient and to laugh at yourself. Really, I need to like it's we need to, I mean, life is serious and the suffering is real and we need to take that seriously and we need to like, if I have the opportunity to help somebody to feel better and that means me giving something away and like, maybe I'm scared of losing something by giving it, which is like such bullshit, but like if at that moment I could like realize, okay, yeah, life is serious and I need to give, I need to help people to feel better, and I also need to like laugh at every opportunity because it's such a cosmic joke. It's like such a creative, beautiful, entertaining circus, this planet.
Yeah, I listened to a channel last night on a podcast, and this being that she was channeling was mentioning how suffering hasn't in this reincarnation isn't one of the key lessons anymore,
Mm.
and how be so we don't have to lean into suffering so much because we can alchemize and transmute everything without that. We can do it with the grace of the heart, and we can have awareness and move through it with grace instead
I
of
believe.
yeah instead of having to have the suffering be the teacher.
Yeah.
And that really resonated for me. Um, I really feel like the suffering is directly connected to the lack of awareness.
Yeah.
But when we have the awareness, which for me, Kundalini has been a big part of gaining awareness of my body, of my mind, of my thoughts, then if there's awareness, then I have the opportunity to shift from a moment of suffering into what is this teaching me, or what lesson is the universe trying to teach me here, right?
Enjoy life.
Hmm.
Just enjoy every moment.
Hmm.
Have the strength to do it. Even when I'm the deepest grief, enjoy it. You're never going to experience that type of grief again, like the grief of a parent dying, or of a friend dying, or of a baby being born, you know. It's
Yeah.
intense, but like try, like have the to enjoy what's happening to me. That's the moment. And you're right, I don't have to suffer. We're such a we, I don't know. There's like we have like a funny fetish with what we have had in recent history, you know, such a thing with suffering. It's like I have to like it's like almost it's like a lot of people seek pleasure, but a lot of it's like a lot there's like a lot of like pain seeking just as much
Hmm.
too, which just change the channel, change the like this is the and this is what like a Dharma practice does is it changes my relationship to the suffering. So suffering isn't, it's just like everything's an opportunity for me to fall more in love with this mystery of life, you know,
For
and
sure.
turn it into mastery. That's how I turn the mystery into mastery.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite quotes by Yogi Bhajan is that I don't um I don't believe in miracles, I rely on them.
Yeah.
And I when my practice is really strong with Kundalini, uh the miracles are constant,
Yeah.
you know. Have you noticed that for yourself?
Yeah. There's no worry. I know it's going to work out. I know I just like, there's no doubt. And it's just like, it's not even like big, like windfall miracles. It's just like, oh, like I was like, you know, I was having a fluctuation in the mind. I was mad at the lady walking, and then, you know, a miracle is being able to be like, oh, that's fun. You know, it's like the little miracles, like me being able to not because man, the tragedy is how many people are getting completely derailed by getting pissed off at a person who's walking too slow.
Right,
A lot of people.
right.
So it's a miracle and everybody listening out there, I want you to like recognize every miracle that when you're able to come back home more deeply to yourself, when you want to disassociate, recognize that miracle and pat yourself on the back for it. Like, yeah, good fucking job. Like you're
Right,
great. Like look
right.
how powerful you are. You like just weren't derailed. Actually, you were railed more into the essence of your soul and fell more deeply in love with yourself, filled your cup even more full so you could pour your beautiful cup of nectar to anybody who wants it because you're in the house of miracles, you're in the house of unlimited resources straight from source.
Right, right. And I think the deeper layer of like your experience that you're sharing is like figuring out why an old lady walking on the road would be frustrating, getting to the core of it and then healing it so that it doesn't happen anymore instead of just finding the grace to not be frustrated every time it happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the deeper work and the blessing of something like that from my perspective, right? Where it's like, oh, that doesn't there's this awareness that comes in. It's like, oh, that used to really bother me, but now I've gotten to the core of that. You know, maybe somebody in my life in the past taken up
Mhm.
to has made me smaller by them taking up too much space or whatever the scenario, right?
Well, then it's also like yes, self-knowledge 100%. And then it's like put new patterns in the thing.
Right. Right.
So, nah, ma. And then you're like, I was mad.
Right.
I just put all this prana in my system and I'm feeling great. And I just reprogrammed this frayed nervous system response into something that's harmonic and powerful and directional and tantric. Like where
Right.
I'm mad. What is anger even? Yeah, right. Like what is suffering even? Like
Right.
I'm just like charged with the name. You
Right.
know?
Right. For
Yeah.
sure. For sure, man. Well, it's been such an honor to have you on today, Atma.
Yeah, it's been
I
really
think,
good. Good talking to you.
yeah, I think we covered a lot of amazing topics and really dove into the different layers of Kundalini Yoga and even got to try some for those that have never tried it. If you want to watch the full video, it's on YouTube at it's the Spiritual Teachers Podcast or at Spiritual Teachers Channel with two N's. And we'll drop any links for you, Atma, any ways that people can take your online courses, links to the Japji. And
Mhm.
it's been such an honor to have you on today. Thank you so much, brother.
It's been an honor for me too, brother. A privilege and an honor and a pleasure. So thank you so much.
Until next time, brother. Thank you.